Now, Nathan, you said you use an analog mixer. If you know an analog mixer, you got it made. Okay? Because you're familiar with it, Brent? You analog mixing board guy? Or what?
That's what we had at the junior high, but
Had or have.
it sometimes works and sometimes doesn't work. So
Okay. Anybody else?
I think you ought to just talk to me like I've never seen one before.
Well, here's one of the things about this mixer is that as some digital mixers have a lot fewer knobs than this. This one looks a lot like a standard mixer, right? Except because you got a fader here. But all these things you used to see on the channel strips going up and down here, like gain and EQ and aux 1, 2, and pan left and right. Well, it's just all here when you select that channel. Let me hit this home button first of all. All right, and before I start that, I'm going to tell you what the beauty of a digital mixer is. What it is, believe it or not, it's a work saver once you know it. Mainly because it has a memory. And the biggest problem with most analog mixers is people get their fingers in them, and then they play with it, and then nobody knows what it was supposed to be like.
Or you move it and it gets bumped.
That's right.
Or kids are standing next to it and, ooh, knobs.
Now, the first thing you know about this one is that a digital mixer is it can remember things, and it can remember a lot. Here's what it's done, though, that I've done for you in advance. There is memory scene A06. I've called it Bonham Default. You can see that. That means it's locked. You can't accidentally load to it without tapping it. Now it can be overwritten. We don't want to do that. That's as much safety as I can give you. But that right there is your base starting point that I don't want you to ever overwrite or change. Now, when I look at this thing, let's just say, you can see, I'm going to say recall Bonham. See what happens? It gets me back to the base of what Bonham Default is. I've got it with all your channels on, but all your faders down, with your aux assignments that are in the background all set and working. Now, if I go and do theater production here, and I'm on input number 1, I'll show you what all this means. And I got this set up here and all kinds of good stuff going for Act 1, Scene 1 of Play 1. I can go in here and turn this knob down here. And I can say, store. And I'm going to wipe that out, and I'm going to go Act 1, Scene 1, Play 1. And then I'm going to hit OK. Okay? And I want to do that, though.
That's why I bought that montage synthesizer,
Okay.
because it will do all that from the synthesizer in and then go into our analog board.
Now that I've got that saved, I can always go to my memory, and I can call that up as I'm doing my production. During Act 1, Scene 1, Play 1, I can hit that, and everybody's mics are set up. I can save the next one as Act 2, Scene 1. And I can go through and I can save a bunch of them. And as I go through this, I can bring them up as I need them. I can also, and let me tell you something. This mixer's brand new. It's radically different than other Yamahas in what it does, so I haven't learned it 100% by any stretch. But you can take and put these scenes up here on your user-defined keys to speed the process, okay? So your recall isn't going here and doing it in case you're super fast, okay? All right. So, here's the one thing to remember. See this home here? This is when you get to so many screens here that you can't remember how to get out of it, okay? Everything's all messed up because you've been going in and out of different things. You get to home, and it takes you back to your main. Now let's talk about just the basic use of the mixer. Okay? So, uh-oh, I don't like that. Somebody screwed this up. What are we gonna do?
Go to the default settings.
Somebody do that for me. Actually, you start by going up to the scene.
Oh.
Now rotate that up. Or, you know what? It
I'd say
should
it should
go
be
with your
touchscreen.
touch.
Yeah.
See, that's new. Old Yamaha mixers wouldn't do that.
There you go.
Oh, cool.
Okay? That's one of the sweetest things about it. Personally, there's not better sound out of a digital mixer. There's not much difference, really. And a good analog mixer and digital mixer are pretty close. It's the convenience and all the tools it does for you. Okay, so when we get ready to, I want to just talk on a microphone or something, right? Okay, well, I go in here and I look at this. Now, the thing about it is even though we've got 24 appearing here, you have more channels than that. We don't get the additional channels until we go to the next fader bank here. Notice my labels change. Now I've got other inputs. Start with mic 19. These are 3 unused channels over there that I'll tell you about in a little bit. Mic 20 and 21 are here. These are so you can have a mic from back here, wherever the mixer is all the time, to address from back here. 20 and 21. There's your CD1, your CD2. Here's the volume for the projector, right there. This right here is a trick USB port that you can play whatever was recorded on the USB drive here. This one is another one that is, I'm not even sure about where it's derived from again, but it's a virtual port within this thing that takes an assignment inside the unit. These are your 2 effects that are available on the channels. And then when you go to outputs, we see all our other outputs. And what you have here on your outputs is really nothing of interest other than your main. Your main's always there, right? You get these 4 right here. Monitor A and B. You have monitor A and B jacks. Here's the volume when you want to send the mixer out to the lobby. Okay? This is the back of stage, and this right here is where you're going to adjust your subwoofers when you plug them in, and how much thump you want to give these people. So if I want to hook up, now let me tell you about the assignments. 1 through 10 is our wireless mics, and you can see that they are labeled wireless 1 and 10. That's where the mixer labels itself. Once I start with the plug-in mics on the stage, they begin here on channel 11, proceeding through mic 9. Unfortunately, the font changes when you go to 10. It's a little smaller. When I pick up here, it picks up mic 15 right here. These right here, the stage boxes that I showed you over there, those are called a TO. The last 3 inputs on it are unused. If you were to plug something in there you want to add, through a tie line. Let's say you have somebody set up some kind of thing over there for broadcast or something. And you could take and hook it into a tie line. Go to that tie line, take a mic cable from there into the TO, and bring it right into this mixer into one of these 3 channels in one of these remote locations. Then this is mic 21 and 22 here. Then here's our music sources here that I told you about. So if I'm over here and I turn up my mic 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? I got it set right. I go over here, and these are all down, and I do nothing to them but do that. Well, when I go back here, there they are.
That's pretty nifty.
You know, if I change these to something else on them, well, it's no big deal. They all remember where they were.
Cool.
You know, and all you got to do is remember, really, I got to change the screen to get to the mics I want by selecting them. Okay?
So will this USB port do video or is it just audio?
Just audio.
Just audio.
The mixer's just audio. Now, this USB port right here is to record.
Cool.
You can record there. There's also there are optical outputs and stuff on the back where you can actually connect up to a computer with a DAW, a recording program, and take all the inputs to the mixer and be, like a studio, and be sending all the channels to your. Yeah.
That's way over my head.
But it can be done.
Yes, so you know, but it's way over.
All
It'd be
right.
nice to
I have a
record our
question.
stuff.
All right, let's start
So
with questions.
if we, in theory, I could plug in anything that uses a mic cable in one of these boxes.
Absolutely.
So like if I had a synthesizer, plug it in there.
Here's the critical thing. Let me be sure you know. Okay? Let's say you're going to do it to mic 1. See, it brought it up right here. All right. You know what an analog. When you tap on it, it's going to bring up other things that that you can work on. Now, see that right there? That's called head amp. Now, on your other analog mixer, it was always the first knob of that channel. A lot of times it was called trim. A lot of times it was called gain. It's a matter of just language for that manufacturer. But that was the same thing as that first knob on your mixer channel. If you're going to bring a synthesizer, that's fine. Hook it in, but it's going to be too hot. So what you got to do is go to that head amp. And one thing about it, when you got it well, it shows analog gain here. Here's another way of taking it down. Right there, but
Yeah. So any powered source that we hook into that has
see
to
what, and,
hold weight down.
and even if I don't tap on this and get into the bigger expanded screens, once I touch it here and it's like that, then I can start taking it down. I'll have to turn that way down. And then I bring my synthesizer. Okay? Or submixer. You could have a whole nother mixer up there to do a live band up there. Bring it through one input here and you go through everywhere. You can do.
So that's probably what we do.
Now, what do you do now when the next person comes in here to use it and that thing doesn't work because they plug a mic in and it's not hot enough, they don't hear nothing.
I'd go back to default, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
That should make everything back to
We
normal.
go back to home, look at that, it's back at plus 40 for a microphone.
Okay.
Okay? So,
So like if we had condenser mics or something that need phantom power, is that already on?
no. Matter of fact, it takes about 4 switches on this thing to turn it on. 3 which stay on all the time, which I got for you. What you do is you look at the individual channel right there. See that? 48 volts. It's a little bit. Bring it in there and get it. It'll touch it.
Okay, so if it's red, then
Right. You're going to need that when you use your choir mics.
right.
Okay?
What kind of mics are those?
Those are cheap Chinese knockoffs that work great. I've had great luck with them.
Yeah, and
Let me-
I know what are they like?
What brand
is
are
the not the brand?
Polar pattern.
Okay, thank you.
It's got 3 capsules with it.
Okay.
And you can check. You know, and it's hard to say. If you're going to record with them, is one thing. It all depends what you're going to use for. I think for general